Hello everyone and welcome back. We are here with our third episode in our What We Learned in Youth series. Again, I feel like we need to do a disclaimer. We keep bigging up one particular episode in this series, saying like we're really excited. It's not this one still. We're just really trying to keep you in suspense.
Yeah, suspense.
But next week,
but we are excited.
We promise next week. It's going to be the big ending of the series, so that makes it even more exciting.
Finale.
Exactly. Yeah. So my question for this week, Ellie did just ask me to make it less abstract. But my question is, because I was just saying to Ellie beforehand how I've had a very adult day, and it made me think, what is when you imagine your future life, what pets do you imagine having?
Pets. Okay, well, I know this straight away.
Okay.
I have always said, I decided this summer, because I was looking at dogs and talk about different dogs, and I'm also allergic to dogs and anything with fur, so this makes this question a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah.
But I really want a cockapoo, and a little kind of ginger one, kind of gingery brown. And I'm gonna name him Papa Dom, because I was going through all my favorite foods, and I wanted originally to call it Peshwari because I love Peshwari naan, but my mum was like, no, you're not calling a dog Peshwari. Yeah, so I thought Papa Dom, and then I'd in the park it won't be embarrassing to yell Pop, because that'd be Poppy,
actually.
And then I'll be like, oh no, it's Papa Dom actually.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah, that's the adult pet.
That is the adult pet. Papa Dom.
Papa Dom. What about you?
Mine would be 100% either a Labrador or a Retriever, and I think so. I have 2 Labradors already, and they're literally my whole entire world. So I think I'd just have to have the same either. But I do love Retrievers, so I think I'd want a Golden Retriever. And then a chocolate Labrador, proper pudgy one. That's what I just love. Now you all know our future dogs. See you in 20 years with
you wait. 20 years.
That will be there's probably still maybe not 20 actually. I keep overshooting my future.
You think you're younger than you are?
I think I'm younger. I'm still 12.
That takes us to 40, mate.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, 5 years, 10 years. Anyway, let's go back to talking about what we were like in youth, and that brings me back to my childhood. So this week we are talking about community, and I was thinking about this when a few months ago, I think it was, that we did a episode with one of our really good friends, Jodie, on friendship.
That was in lockdown 1.
Oh yeah,
madness.
Wow, so long ago. But this is a bit different to that. We're going to be talking about kind of community and the people who, I guess, you kind of choose your friends bit, but you don't necessarily always choose your community. So my first question for you is, I started off with, why do you think community is so important for us?
I think community is so important. I can't advocate the importance of community enough. I'm such an extrovert. I need to be around people all the time, but I think even if you're an introvert, there's such an importance in community. And I think I was thinking about this, and I think it has 3 purposes. Community, it's 1 to encourage and uplift you, it's 2 to create a culture, and 3 to hold you accountable. And I think all 3 of those are so important. I guess we'll go more into it, but I think obviously you need to be built up, and in a safe community is where you're going to do that. And I think also the setting of cultures, I guess it's for example, in my church culture, we pray for one another, and it sets that culture of, if someone comes to a problem with you, you pray for them. But I think because you've set that culture inside your community, you can then go out and do that for other people, feel comfortable, because you've already done it in the training ground of your community. And then finally, I don't think we highlight the importance of accountability enough in the church, and I think definitely that is one of the biggest roles of community. So in short or long, that's why I think we need community. What about you?
Very much agree. I think in general, community is so important for our general growth, and not just our spiritual growth, but spiritual growth, but also like our personal growth as well, because as I said, like you don't really pick like the people that you go to youth with, the people that are on your uni course, the people that are at your church or whatever, but you do tend to pick your friends because like they appeal to you and you like them, so then you want to make them your friends. But I feel like then you can learn so much from your community. Like also like when I was thinking about it earlier, I was like, you can almost in all sense learn a lot more from your community, because sometimes like they'll do things differently to you because your friends, who kind of like gravitate to people that are like you, and I think it's such a great place to grow in like wisdom and knowledge, because just as Ellie said, like it's a community where you pray for each other, encourage each other, and it's like a real supportive community as well. And I think obviously in friendships and stuff there's always that trust there, and I think what's so great about like especially Christian communities is there is almost this like kind of established trust there, and I think it just really allows you to be vulnerable within that space and really then helps you like grow, which like community is so great.
We need that.
We need that.
It reminds me of my first year at uni. I was put in a flat with 3 other people that I had never met before, and literally on the first day it was so clear to me that they were just not like me at all, and not in a like there's no bad way of saying that, they're just so different to me, and they taught me so much. Like yes, I didn't choose to live with them in second or third year, but like they taught me patience, they taught me generosity when they stole my food, and like you know, like it does push you out of your comfort zone when you're in a community of people that you don't necessarily choose or aren't like you, because you're just learning from them and you're learning how to I guess like tolerate and celebrate your differences. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that leads us so well on to our next question, which is how have you personally found like community important in your 21 years?
My 21 years. Oof. 20 years to 40, don't remind me.
Gosh.
No, I found it so important. Like it has been a lifeline at points, and like I think going back to youth, our community there was everything for me. I like struggled in sixth form. I didn't really have that many friends because you know where I was in sixth form, not that many people wanting to like work. Like they were kind of there because they didn't really want to be anywhere else. And also, you know, in sixth form they get into the big like drinking, partying, getting off with people for no reason kind of culture, and I just wasn't comfortable with that. And so I stuck out like a sore thumb and I didn't really have any friends. But the one thing that I did know, and the one thing that kind of kept me happy through that time, was my community with like you guys in my youth. So I think actually like whilst you know I'm kind of contradicting myself, like yes we need to like be in community with people that are different from us, but actually like I don't know, being in community with you guys who are like so similar to me in like your values, that kind of that built me up, and kind of I don't know, I feel so terrible for like when I came to uni there'd be people that had never like they didn't have a youth, or like their youth was like them and their brother, and it's like I don't know, I can't imagine like growing up not knowing that there are other Christians out there that are your age. I think that must be really, really hard. What about you?
I think definitely very similar to you, like throughout youth and even like just around that time and now as well, like I find community so important because both me and Ellie are extroverts and I just love people so much and like love my friends and stuff, so I found that kind of community really important. And I think always everyone like shouts about it, that like community is so important for when you go through the hard times, like especially because I think that's also what's so great about like especially I think I really worked that out in youth, and I think that's why I found community important, is that through I think I always knew that community was great when things were good, and I think I found it very easy to like share the good things in youth, you know, but actually like when things were hard, that's when I would like try and just like keep it to myself. But actually there were so many people around me that didn't necessarily, I didn't have to tell them like the ins and outs of something that was happening, But you know when they just like catch your vibe that you're just not quite 100%, and they just like
they know you.
exactly what to do, and they just know you and they love you and they care for you. And I think I've also found it really important, especially in that youth time, of being really challenged as well. I think in my faith that people did things differently to me. People had different routines of how they'd spend time with God and all of that. And I think then I found that really like challenging and also really helpful to be able to like create a good routine and a good structure for me. And I think community in general is just like a really like strong foundation, I think, in your life. And I think it's one of those things that you can really rely on. And I think because it's such an amazing thing that you get to like serve alongside your community, and I think that's one thing I've also found really important, because it's like you on your own can only make like so much difference. Like in the grand scheme of things, you could be like this one like little tiny droplet of water, but then with all your other tiny droplets of water you make like this ocean of water. And it's like just this picture of why, like exactly why God intended us to be in community, because just us on our own we make like a tiny little splash, but all of us together, and even with our differences and uniqueness and all of this, we can make such a great difference.
So true. And like we weren't meant to do this on our own. Like the first time God said that something wasn't good was when humankind was on their own. And like even God, like he isn't on his own, he is like one in a trinity. So yeah, I agree, like that's when we work best, because that's how we were made.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, one more thing why I've always found community really important is like, I think even especially in youth, because I think this is when it like really taught me, it was like how to love people well. And I think you can love the people that you want to love well. Like I can love Ellie really well, I can love my family really well, because they're the people that I like I like force them to be in my life basically, because I like text Ellie all the time, you know, my family has to be there kind of thing. But they're not the people that necessarily like you would think straight away to show love to, but it's such a great opportunity to be able to like show love to them. I think I just really enjoyed in that time really being able to love these people that if it wasn't for youth or if it wasn't for church, I'd never even have met them to be able to show them.
100%.
So my next question is, obviously sometimes in life we're thrown into communities like school, uni, all of this stuff, but also there is a part of it that we also have to look for good community, because you can just have community, but there's a difference between like good, strong community. So how would you say like we can find good community, especially like when life is busy, and even more so like at the moment with COVID and everything? It's hard to do that. Definitely. And like it's crazy. Like I always thought growing up, like how do people like have their friends? Like and even now, like my closest friends are people that I go to church with. So like if I didn't go to church, I don't understand how I would have friends. Me too. But like that's crazy to me. But I guess like how do you find good community? I think you have to be so pursuing of it. And like yes, like you can just fall into a good community, like that happens quite a lot, and that is like blessings from God. But like at the beginning of lockdown, me and my friend Beth were talking, we were talking about it for years actually, but we like finally decided to put into action like at the beginning of the first lockdown. She was like, Ellie, like I just want, you know, to a group of us girls where we can intentionally get together and pray together and just be so open and like share everything and like not feel judged and just like pray through it and journey through life together. And so there's 4 of us girls who we try and meet up weekly. It's such a pain, you know, those group chats where it's like, well, I'm free this day, and then it's like the list of days is like the opposite. That is literally us. But as often as we can, we like have meals together and we like pray together, and they just know everything that's going on in my life. And I think when you know that that's a good community, I like to take my inspo from is in Acts 2, and it literally says the heading of this passage is the believers form a community, and it's Acts 2:42.
All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and sharing in meals and to prayer. A deep sense of awe came over them all, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. And all the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. They sold their property and possessions and shared the money with those in need. They worshipped together at the temple each day and met in homes for the Lord's Supper and shared their meals with great joy and generosity, all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of the people. And each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. And I feel like that's just such a good structure of like what our like community is meant to look like and how we know what a good kind of community becomes. And I kind of want to highlight the last bit, and it says, and each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who are being saved. And I think it's so important for us to be open with our friendships. And I feel like God has been teaching me that, like, I'm very protective of my friends. I'm like, no, that's my friend. But actually, like, what God has blessed you with, like, you can use to bless other people. And actually, like, just always having an open friendship group, it's one of the best ways to build community. So I can't remember what the question was, but I hope that answered it.
No, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I'd say as well, for like, as you said, when I think about it, I'm like, how do we like actually make friends? Like, isn't it kind of bizarre? Like, my friends are either like people I've met at school, people that I've gone to youth with, or people that I've worked with, and I'm like, how do you actually?
You can't even just ask someone as well. Like, be like, oh, Abby, be my friend.
Yeah, exactly. So when I actually like sit down and think of it, it's one of those things that I could sit there and like talk to myself about for about 10 minutes because that's just what I do. But I think what you said about like openness with friendship got me thinking as well of like, obviously openness in terms of like being open with your friends to other people and all of that, but also I think in our society we live in a not very trusting society. Like, we're constantly thinking like, this person has an ulterior motive, this person is just going to tell this person this if I tell them that, and we just never fully like trust people. And I think it's a really difficult thing to do, and I definitely know it's a difficult thing. I'm not a pro in any way, but I think there is something so like amazing about especially your like Christian community and your church community, is that there are people that have been placed there for a reason for you. And I think that's sometimes what we forget. We can sometimes think like, oh, this person just goes to my church because they go to uni here, but actually like they've been placed there with a purpose, and they've been placed into your community with a purpose. And I think them, obviously, don't be like an oversharer in terms of like telling them your maybe deepest darkest secrets, because they might not also want to be your friend if you tell them your deepest darkest secret. But, I think there is something so amazing about being open with people, and I think you don't just have to be open with like your bestest friends. And I think there's something so great about being vulnerable, because I think that is what really like draws us into those communities, because otherwise everyone's a bit awkward around new people, and then if you're just not really like open, it's like, what is there to talk about if you don't want to like talk about yourself, I guess. And I think also in finding good community, it seems a bit contradictory, but it's you can find good community by not being self-focused and self-centered, I guess. And I think it's quite easy to go into like conversations with new people, into community with new people, and all you want to do is like share about yourself, share these amazing stories that you've had and all of this, but actually like use this time to be like a really good questioner. And I feel like over the years I've become such a questioner. I just love like hearing people. I'm like, so what did you do like on this day 3 years ago? But I think there's something maybe not quite that niche, obviously,
that's
but I think use the opportunity to be like a questioner and actually like make these people feel valued, because you want to get to know them, make them feel like you want to know them, because they're obviously known by
100%.
God. And I think we have this amazing power to like almost show people that they're known by God, and like make them feel known by making them feel as if they want to be known by us, if that makes sense.
100%. I was listening to a podcast, it's like the World That's Good podcast, and Torrin Wells was on it, and he was saying that as a generation, you know, we want to be well known.
Yeah.
No, sorry. We want to be well known more than we want to be known well.
Yeah.
And actually, like, you know, making those relationships and actually, like, I don't know, investing in people rather than investing in yourself of being well known. I get confused between well known and known
Yeah,
well.
I know, it's typical. It's like a tongue twister.
But also, like we said 2 weeks ago, and Brene, is it Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Brene Brown. She says, like, don't like word explode over people, and like, you know, there's that people have to earn your vulnerability, but like make sure that you have those people that you can be vulnerable. Like Abby, if she wanted to, could ruin me. She knows me so well, and it's just like having those people that you can be vulnerable with and give them that permission to be like, oh, like this is my everything. Like you could go ruin me, but actually like you're not going to, and give people the opportunity to prove to you that they are trustworthy.
Yeah 100%. I think we often don't almost give people the opportunity to even like earn our trust sometimes, because we can have our walls so high that like there's not even a chance of them like coming down or climbing over or whatever. So my last question for you today is, once we've found those communities and once we feel as if we've got like that group of kind of people around us, how can we like really like pursue and strengthen them and just, you know, keep them thriving?
Yeah, I love that. I think, you know, the Acts chapter really like, I don't know, exemplifies that. Like we have to make sure that we are doing life with each other and being real with each other. And I think sometimes it's really easy to just have like all the fun times and like they're great, but actually like, you know, they say how like your relationship with God is like made in the valleys, and I think that's the same with your friendships. And it's the ones that stick around when you're like not so good that really like thrive. And I'm not saying you should like have a meltdown with your friends every day, like you've got to have the fun bits too, but like it's about doing life with each other. And then like you said, like it's about knowing that you can let go of those friendships and let your friends bless other people, but know that they're still your friend. And I think that's a sign of a good thriving friendship, because you're so secure in the fact that you just like you love each other and you're good. So I guess that. What about you?
Mine, I have a little jazzy
three.
I don't know what to call it, just like a 3-pointer, three things, and they have 3 Bible verses.
Oh wow, she's been researching.
So my 2 things first are bear each other's burdens, pray for one another, and build one another up. I'm not going to read to you the Bible verses because I feel as if that will actually take me about 20 minutes, but I'll say them quickly again for you. It's bear each other's burdens, which if you want to go back to the Bible verse, it's Galatians 6 verse 2. Pray for one another is 1 I can never say this word. Thessalonians 5 verse 11, and build one another up, which is Hebrews 3 verse 13. And
I love that.
That is, in a nutshell, pretty much how I think it's really handy way of remembering how to have like a good community and like really strengthen them, because I think, as we've been saying the whole time about like vulnerability, and it can be really easy to have good community in the good times, but actually it's being there for each other in the bad times, and that's when we can be really open with each other and just carry those things so people don't have to carry them alone. Because in a community, if one person's like down here but then the rest of you are up here, like that just doesn't balance out, that just doesn't like gel well. And I think then by carrying some of that, we can like raise those people up. And I think God carries our burdens. Jesus literally died on the cross to carry our burdens out of his choice, and I think that's as great example as any for us to basically do the same, because he's called us to be in these communities
100%.
and pray for one another as well. I think often it's easy to think like, oh, community, like when we see each other I can do community really well, but actually you can still do community when you're away from the community, and like pray for those people. You don't have to necessarily let them know that you're praying for them. I think that's such a great thing. Like a quick hey, I'm just going to pray for this person now, and like just throughout your day. I think it's so like, it's also like such a fun thing to do. And then build one another up. It's like, I think it's a really fun thing to do, that you get to like be the people, your community's like little cheerleader, and be your like friends little cheerleaders. And I think especially like we said in a few podcasts about how like society in general, like we have such low self-esteem and such like almost like low opinions and low standards of ourselves, and actually like we can be those people that really like lift them up and like make them see their worth. And I think that's such a like an amazing like privilege as well, to be able to do that. And I think it's just really great to be able to
definitely
do that. And I think once you do that, that really strengthens your relationships.
Yeah I think that just reminded me of a quote by Francis of Assisi. And he says, right, this isn't a direct quote, I don't want to butcher it, but he says something like, spread the gospel and use words when necessary. And I kind of think like that's the same in friendships, like I don't know, like build each other up but use words when necessary, love each other but use words when necessary, and like it's all about the action. And you know, I can tell you I appreciate you as much as I want, but like am I showing it? And like where are you putting the work in? Like I have a friend, like I literally just texted being like, oh, I'm having a really bad day. She called me up, she's like, let's pray on the phone for 5 minutes. And like it's just little things like that like you said, like you don't have to tell the person that you're praying for them, but if you pray with them, like especially in COVID times over the phone, like you're making the use of what you have to still build community, which is really important.
100%. Actions speak louder than words in them.
Amen.
Exactly. Wow, we hope you enjoyed this episode where we chatted all about community, and we promise next week will be the really fun, exciting podcast that we've been bringing up for about a month now. So make sure you come back for that one and check it out to find out finally what we've been like speaking about.
And follow our Instagram.
Oh yeah,
at thrive.in.grace. This is why I do it.
How could I forget? See, this is why Ellie normally does it. So hope you enjoyed.
Have a good week.